Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joy at Work. It's good to have you. It's May 29th, 2020. And don't forget to subscribe or send me any thoughts on topics you'd like my opinion on. This isn't really a politically motivated channel. My focus is really on the workplace and how we can all experience joy at work. But I have to say, like over the last couple of weeks, I've become just even more disturbed by what I'm seeing in society. Outside of the fact that we're dealing with a pandemic, we are dealing with the fact that Black people specifically, are getting killed in ways that really don't make sense, and it's frustrating, it's disturbing, it's unsettling that this is where we're at. And this is kind of the other narrative that dominates the news, right? So this has been a burden of mine. It's been weighing on my heart for a while here, and I just didn't feel it was appropriate to share what I want to share today without acknowledging this. So again, my heart thoughts go out to the Arbery families and the Floyd family. This is just a tough time, and I truly hope that the justice will prevail and that society moves forward in whatever way that looks like. It's not lost to me that, we just have bad actors, and the impact of bad actors can be far reaching and very, very wide. But we need to do better. We need to move forward. And this cannot be our story. Change has to happen. So if you're not speaking out against this, then you just have to kind of maybe look inward and ask yourself what your thoughts are, what your values are. So again, maybe I've stepped into a little bit of a political landmine here, or a societal landmine, but I cannot just ignore this today. Um, Today, I want to talk about the brutal facts, and the brutal facts in the context of our new reality. You've probably heard of the Stockdale paradox, and if you haven't heard about this paradox, it shows up, or at least I discovered it first in Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, where he talks about Admiral Jim Stockdale and his experience being a prisoner of war, and how he in Vietnam, and how he made it through that experience. And why I think it's important to talk about this right now is we're living in some very interesting times where things that we are used to doing have been taken away from us. And I've shared this over a couple of times, but as this continues to stretch out, and as we continue to be even more inconvenienced, our attitude becomes more important. And when Jim Collins interviewed Admiral Stockdale to ask him kind of how he had survived being a prisoner of war for a number of years, he said it was because he confronted the brutal facts, right? He never lost faith and hope that his situation would end and that he would one day be free. But he also confronted the brutal facts. Like, this was his current reality, and he had to make the best out of it. And, Jim Collins asked him, hey, what about those who didn't make it out? And there were probably a whole bunch of reasons for those who didn't make it out. But one of the reasons the Admiral gave him was the optimists thought they would be out by Christmas, when it was highly unlikely that they would be out by Christmas. So false hope can actually be dangerous. And it's interesting because even as I've talked to people at this time about what's going to happen, I talk to people and they keep wishing for stuff. And maybe that's kind of their coping mechanism. I don't know. But one of the important things we can't lose sight of is that our ability to cope is enhanced, actually, when we confront the brutal facts, accept them for what they are, and then try to make the best in our given situation. Um, False hope can kind of set us up for big time disappointment. So accept that this period is going to pass. It will pass. It has to pass at some point. But in this moment, in this time, What's the best we can do? How do we handle the new situation of things, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's at home? It really doesn't matter. So confront the brutal facts that we're facing right now. Think about the best way to deal with them, get the right attitude, and probably that brings you joy at work. So thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next week. Bye.